Hi guys, I'm going to go ahead and do the video to show you an example of how to do your sealant evaluation. I have a daughter that has a loft bed, so I have the camera, or my phone actually, up in underneath the loft, and I'm working on the desk underneath, so that's how I'm doing this. If you need to have somebody film for you, go ahead. Just make sure that we can see what you're doing with everything. So here we go. One thing that would happen before you started your eval, and it would happen prior to ever thinking of placing a sealant on a patient, is that you have to have the doctor to recommend that they actually do need the sealant. So make sure that that happens. You don't just go sealing things for the fun of it. The dentist has to recommend it. But as far as your evaluation goes, I would assemble all the necessary things, which I have here. And then the first thing I would do is I would take my Profi brush that is on my handpiece, dip it in pumice, and then this is my fake tooth. So I'm going to brush my tooth and get in all the little grooves. If I had a buccal groove, I'd get it, or a lingual groove, I'd get it. And then I'm going to spray it off, rinse all the pumice off, suction it up over here. And then usually there's some water left in the mouth after you do that, so I'm going to suction up the rest of that water. And then this is the point where you would place isolation. So I would put my triangle in the cheek, and then my cotton rolls would go on either side of the tooth. If you're doing a maxillary molar, obviously you can't put one on the lingual, but you always have one on the buccal, and on the mandibular you'll have one on the lingual. So I'm going to put my little triangle back up over here since I can't really place it. All right, so next, since I have everything all nice and isolated, I'm going to spray my tooth off dry, and then I'm going to place the etchant. So I would place this on here, and I could be very generous with it, make sure I get all the grooves, and then I'll wait for 20 seconds. And if you can't see a clock in clinic, you just kind of count it in your head. Okay, I'm going to spray my etchant off. Then I'm going to pull my air water syringe away. I'm going to blow out the water by pushing the air button. I'm going to come back and I'm going to dry it off. And then I'm looking right here for a chalky appearance on the tooth. And if I do see that, I'm going to go ahead and place my sealant. And I'm just going to be placing it very minimally in here. And then I'm going to use my micro brush to spread it out if I need to. And once I think that it looks good but not overfilled, then I'm going to cure it. And notice I have the suction still hanging out here. I would do that in a real person's mouth because you cannot trust their saliva. So I'm going to cure this. If this is a molar, I'm going to cure it for a whole minute. So let's just go ahead and pretend the minute has passed. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the air inhibited layer with my cotton tip applicator. So we're going to wipe that off. And then I'm going to check it with my Explorer, my sterile Explorer, to see if I can get it off. When you guys are really doing this, you're going to want to really try to get in there and pull it off, yank it off, because that is what we're going to be doing as faculty to check it. Okay, so once I figure out that that is fine, I'm going to use my air water syringe to put some water on that triangle that's in the mouth, because it'll get sticky against the cheek and it just feels nasty and tastes nasty to the patient. So I'm going to spray that out, and then I'm going to remove that triangle, take the cotton rolls off, and I can let my patient bite down right now if they want to. And then the next thing I'm going to do is floss the interproximals to be sure that I didn't seal two teeth together. go on both sides. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the articulating paper to have the patient bite down and check their bite. So I would put it here. This was a mandibular tooth. I put it here, and then the patient would bite and they'd chomp and they'd grind their teeth, and then I would pull it out and I would look to see if there were any blue marks on there. So your eval says that you would apply fluoride last. When we're working on each other, we don't necessarily do that because you'd be just using fluoride for a couple of teeth at a time. But if you do have a patient and this is the absolute last thing that you're doing on them, you'll apply fluoride varnish after your sealants have been checked by your faculty. So the next parts, as far as like patient comfort and communicating with the assistant, you don't have an assistant, and proper positioning and eyes on working area, we really cannot judge you for that because we can't see you doing it, and it's just not really a fair judgment of how you would actually perform in the mouth. We just are kind of looking at you seeing the process. But we do want you to know and say it in your video that in your ADPI under implementation, you would put that you sealed, let's say sealed number 30 with, let's see, Clinpro sealant. You would say etched and sealed number 30 with Clinpro sealant and light cured. So that is all. If you guys have any questions, just email me or Mrs. McKinney.